Matu was impressed. Incredible, he thought. The stars of Orion are the home stars of reptilian people who have been influencing the galaxy for billions and billions of years. Incredible! As Matu was reflecting on the power that had given rise to such an incredible empire, Pep moved to his favorite place near the window. Oh my God. I'm telling myself, oh my God, I'm done, Leon. You have done well, Matu, Pep praised him. You seem to be grasping rather easily the derivation of titles and the reptilian empire. Now that you have learned some of the names and titles associated with the queen who sat on the throne, let us now look at some of the names and titles that were given to the queen and her role as the mother of the empire. Matu pulled out another piece of paper. He noticed that his supply was dwindling. If you will recall, the master reminded the young apprentice, in the early days of the empire, the queen who was dethroned was usually terminated. This prevented the new queen from having any potential rivals to the throne in the future. Oftentimes, it was of the princess' daughters who seized the throne. You mean one of her own daughters executed the old queen? Matu asked with a look of incredibility on his face. My God, just like what we have here on Earth. That's why I say all these are reptilian. Yes, Matu. The daughter terminated the mother when she secured the throne. But with the developing sciences, the relegation of the old queen to the status of queen mother solved many problems. For one, it freed the new queen to focus strictly on her duties to the empire. It also removed the danger and health consideration that accompany childbirth. After the eggs of the new queen were removed and placed in the body of the old queen, why don't put in another younger queen? Why have to put on the elderly? This is abuse. It's abuse, just like what you have here on Earth. A lot of reptilian abuse their mother. The new queen took steps to ensure that her offspring had every opportunity to become strong and healthy. The surrogate queen mother was constantly monitored by the personal royal physicians and nurses who had no other responsibility. Nutrition and proper exercise, sufficient rest, and all the things a mother must do to remain healthy were the only duties assigned to the queen's mother. That's injustice. To take advantage of her experiences, however, the new queen would always keep the queen mother on the councils and courts of the empire, provided the queen and the realm with the benefit of her many years on the throne. That's good. That's respect for your elderly. Pampered and waited on hand and foot, her every need fulfilled and her happiness paramount. The status of queen mother was not without its benefits. That's good daughter. That's how it should be. In the language of the Orion people, the sound B literally meant the container of or the house of. Now, when the B sound is pronounced with the long sound of the letter E right after it, B-E, it means to come out of or to give birth. This word B-E is written with the letter T, B-I, but it's pronounced B. Remember, Matu. It means to come out of or to give birth. When a pregnant female gives birth, she's called a bee. The name given to the royal queen mother would also be the bee, and then come the babies. Thus, her official title was the royal queen mother B. And would be pronounced the royal queen mother B. Queen Aya and Queen B. Matu smiled. The Queen B? Matu must. It's almost fun, he thought to himself. Then it occurred to him, Queen B. Queen B. Matu started to ask. In the language of the Arahan, the sound V is the diminutive of the sound B. That means that it has an inferior value but maintains the same essence. The sound V means the bearer of the Korea, instead of the container of. Matu could see the difference. As the bearer of, or the Korea of the eggs of the queen herself. A secondary title of the queen mothers was Queen V or Queen EV, as she was referred to on the other words. In the stars of Orion, Matu, or Orion, Eve was the female who gave birth to the offspring of the divine one. Holy cow! Yeah, but this one's after the invasion to Earth. Remember that. Later, when they came here. Holy cow, Matu said to himself. Eve, the first mother of life on Earth, according to some holy scripture, was the first mother of life of the stars of Orion, not the Earth. Orion. Alright? Orion. Holy cow! Now Matu began. Matu barely had a chance to get another sheet of paper. The daughters of Queen Aya, born of the Queen Mother B, were reptilian females, the TT. To express this is the Arayan language. You must first write down what you wish to focus on in the word. Since we wish to address the princess' daughters, we shall first write down the term TT, reptilian females. Then, in order to show where they came from, one would place the term B in front of the TT. TT was the when they invaded here Earth, they made with the earth people, human and men, the span of the mankind, and then they create one being called TT, a female, TT and Adamu. Adapa and TT. So that's what it means, Adapa and TT, and Adamu and Eve, which was the offspring of the queen daughter, one of the head daughter, and the male has son in Kaya, his father too, which was Adam, Adapa and TT. Those who have BT, a word which literally means container, reptilian female who are of. Matu looked at what he had written, so it's much like the suffix I am or US master. Matu noticed the TT means reptilian females who are of. You see? Is that not correct, master? The suffix, as you put it, tells you what you are speaking of or who you are speaking of. If you wish to write reptilian female of the mother purposed, why would you write Matu? Matu did some scribbling on his paper. It would be Ma followed by TT. You see, I would have to write down the word mat. That mean female reptilian from the Ma or the mother. How would you write down the word mat? And before they called one here who came here was called Ma'at from Ashanti Egypt. Well done, Matu. Can you tell me what the name would be for the reptilian females from heaven? And Matu wrote down, and then TT. Niti. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Is that Indian name? And you have one person who is very close to me with this name. Matu looked over to his teacher. "Would you write any tea, master?" Matu noticed that the pair had nodded, but he had a furrowed brow, a questioning look. "Must be missing something," he thought to himself. Matu looked at what he had written. Entity, entity. Whole cow! "Master!" he was surprised. "Entity, that's the name of the goddess of the sky. Ancient Egypt, Eniti, or Nati, or Niti, or Nati, is the ancient goddess of the sky." Pei smiled, his brow relaxed. "That's correct, Matu." He agreed. "That's absolutely correct. In time, you will find that most of the names of the giant deities can be deciphered through the use of the language of the Arahan, which I am showing you." Holy cow! Holy cow! The title of the reptilian females born on the Queen Mother bee would be... Pei waited for Matu to answer. "BTT." Matu looked at his note and repeated the name. "BT. And the princess' daughter, Matu?" Pei asked. "Remember, they are royalty." "It would be the term B," Matu began, "but if a double T, BT, so it would be the title BTT. Matu noticed the curiosity. "Almost like the name Berry, master," he said. "Exactly like the name Berry, Matu." Pei corrected. "The title of princess' daughter, born of the Queen Mother, Elizabeth. B would be Beatons, you say." "Betty," Matu said to himself. "Betty, that's short for Elizabeth. Elizabeth! Holy cow! Princess' daughter signed the role of the queen. Other words could be called Elizabeth. Holy cow! Holy cow!" He kept repeating. Pei broke his train of thought. "But let's, I say," Pei kept going, "that you wish to write down the title of the Queen Mother and her role as the mother or container of reptilian females. What then would the title be, Matu?" "First, I would write down what she is, the EM," Matu wrote on his paper again. "Then I would write down what she is of, TT. That would give me the title TTB. She would bear the title TTB as mother of reptilian females. Right, master?" "That's correct, Matu." "But when the vowel sound appears at the end of the word, it's usually dropped. While TTB is correct, the actual title used for the Queen Mother was TTB. Matu decided to take a chance and take a guess. As the mother of a reptilian princess, she would be known as TTDB. Matu looked up to Pei for confirmation. Pei smiled and nodded. "That's correct, Matu," he added. "She would be known as Her Majesty TTB. But regardless of the title of the Queen Mother, whether she was called Queen B, Queen Mother Eve, or even Queen Mother TTB, she never forgets. No one is permitted to forget what her role in the grand scheme of the empire really was. Though she was the bearer of the royal spring of the empire, she served completely and totally at the whim and pleasure of her daughter, the ultimate power of the empire, Her Majesty Queen Aya. That would be a good thing not to forget," Matu thought to himself. "The aid and the administration of the empire, Queen Aya should seven of her princess daughters to help her administer to the empire." Seven, the number 7. Though numerous eggs would be born, only 7 females who showed extraordinary abilities, incredible beauty, ruthless cunning, and a cold-blooded willingness to execute the will of the queen would be permitted to remain in the central worlds to assist with the running of the empire, while the princess' daughters assigned to other worlds could hardly be distinguished from their sisters on the central worlds. Nevertheless, only 7 were chosen to assist the Queen of the Empire directly. As reptilian females, the 7 were SSTT, but as the daughters of the Queen Aya, they were the first and foremost EUR females of the royal court, surpassing all other females except the Queen herself. As such, each princess was known as SSTUR, a sister, 7 sister. A sister, Matu wrote down his description. Each sister was responsible for one of the 7 realms of the empire and answered on to the queen. And the empire of Arahan, only the queen held more power than the 7 sisters. The 7th sister, Matu nearly jumped. Master, he had to ask, the 7th sister is a name given to the star of the Pleiades. Master, not the star of Orion. How can that be? That's true, Matu. Ben nodded with a devilish grin. That's true. What you do not know is that the original title of the 7 sisters was given to the star of Orion. They invaded the 2 shoulder stars. The 2 stars of the lower skirt and the 3-belt star were originally symbolic of the 7 stews, sister on our world. At a much later date, the name 7 sisters was transferred to the stars of the Pleiades. Of course, Matu made a note on the switch. Can you tell me, Matu, what would the title of the House of Royal Reptilian, what would their title be? Matu made some notes again. Royal Reptilian, SSS, and the House B, the title will be SSB Master. Like I've always knew, the Pleiades was invaded by reptilian, and the Pleiadians are not humans, they are reptilian. See, Electra, Merope, Maya, Taygeta, Stereo, Alcyone, Atlas, Pleiadian. And Alcyone also. Alcyone is a name of my sister who passed away. The Pleiades, the 7th sister in Taurus. Taurus. Oh my gosh. That's absolutely correct, Matu. The 7 princess daughters of the queen constituted the 7 members of the family of the royal reptilians, or the House of Royal Reptilians, the SSB. They were the supreme family and the highest house of the SS worlds. Can you tell me, Matu, what title would be given to this highest house or highest family of the SS Empire? House of Royal Females, SSB wrote AN, the highest. SSBN, here is 7, Matu blurred out. 7, this is where the number 7 comes from. And I have a 7 number, which is my destiny part. What I came here to do is the energy of number 7, which will be next year. Next year will be 7. Later I will do a video about the number 7. Pei smiled, almost young Matu. SSBN, the house of the 7 princess daughters, is where the symbolism of the number and the name came from. Yes, but there's more than we shall learn later, which we will need to examine it before this is completely clear. Matu was still excited. The SSBN SSTUR would be a title for the 7 princesses of the royal house of the empire. Exactly, Matu. Parents happy for the revelation that was coming to the apprentice. Now, do you remember the suffix that meant death? Matu flipped it through his notes. Car. Yes, Master. He found it. It was the suffix "ka". That's where the name Sak came from. It meant death from reptiles. Good, Matu, the elder said. The 7 precepts, as the highest representatives of the Queen, had the power to administer death sentences to anyone they might choose for any reason they desired. They were the final judges of the realms. So too, the Queen Mother had the right to execute anyone who did not serve her every need, or who might interfere with her duties. The Queen Mother. Of course, the Queen herself had the power of administering death to anyone at any time for any reason. And sorry, Matu, all of the royal females had the power to administer death. Because of this, the people of the other worlds and the reptilian people of the home worlds called the house of the SSB by another name. To them it was the house of the SSBN judges, the house of the SSBK, and the house of the reptilian death. Matu was writing as quickly as he could. Now, Matu, I said to the young man, remember this. The Supreme Court of the Empire, the highest court, was called the Any Court or the Any Court. All females who were members of the royal court and bore the royal title N, Nan or Nin, male administrators and assistants, who, it must be said, could serve the royal court only if they were totally loyal and subservient to the Lady Nin. These female members were known as the EN, though the Nin or NIN and the EN Matu wrote it down. Now, my young friend, we shall leave the Supreme Court and take a look at the military forces of the Ara Empire. Can you tell me, Matu, what was the original name of the reptilian warriors? Matu flipped through his notes. They were called the Sackmaster, he answered. And the warriors of the early reptilian kings were called the Neck. Correct, Matu. Beck confirmed. But the term for reptilian warriors is technically Sack. In regards to the Sack warriors, can you tell me, were they male warriors or female warriors? Were they male or female warriors? Females. Matu said frantically could, if I don't notice, I could tell him whether the Sack were male or female. Sack might be male, right? Next, female, I don't know. Both, Payne said himself, both male and female made up the early Sack bosses, young one. Remember, Sack means death from reptiles, all reptiles. Matu nodded. He would not forget again. In the early days of the empire, when the Neck kings were still in power, an elite guard was assigned to protect the queen. Remember, Matu, that at this time she was still giving birth to the royal offspring. In those days she was still the Queen Ma. The warriors who were assigned to the queen were among the finest warriors of the empire. Sack soldiers who had excellent in battle, but who could no longer be in the field because of injury or some form of incapacitation, could be appointed to the elite guard as a reward for their services. Intelligent and experienced, these skilled and ambitious warriors were also given the newest technology to assist them in the protection of the queen. Warriors who were assigned to the elite guard of the Queen Ma were known as the Mak. As time passed, the queens preferred to have female Mak warriors beside them. By the time of the Night of Tears, the Mak forces were comprised almost completely of female warriors. In the dangerous time that immediately followed, it was the Mak warriors who stayed loyally at her side, protecting her from the various assassination attempts on her life. In the later eras, it was the warriors of the Mak forces who developed the technologies of mind control that would prove to be one of the most important developments of the empire. Mind control technology. Mind control, Matu expect that mind control. In the days of the empire, when reptilian drone kings ruled, conquered population had but one choice: submit or be destroyed. Far too often, the people of conquered worlds refused to give in. In the era of the queens, it was an early matriarchy who realized that the destruction of conquered population was also the destruction of a potentially productive workforce. Turning to the scientists of her elite forces, the Mak forces, which is the female forces, she instructed them to actively research and develop the science of mind manipulation. The early queen had hoped that rather than destroy the dissenters, the Mak scientists could find some way to reprogram the minds of the conquered population. Does it ring a bell here? Smart move, Matu thought. Smart move. And Matu, they succeeded. At first, through the simple use of electromagnetic stimulation of the brain. Subliminal. The Mak were able to create a reward and punishment system that could be used to control the resistant masses. But over many millions of years of research and development, the manipulation of the brain was successfully accomplished through many different techniques, from long-distance influence and control to the immediate program of images in the laboratory. The Mak mind altering technologies became the foundation of the administrative programs put into practice on the newly conquered worlds. Like here, the military forces of the conquered world were always the first subjects to undergo the reprogramming of their minds. After their minds had been altered, the conquered forces obediently professed their complete loyalty and dedication to the queen. Once tested and confirmed, all warriors and military forces of conquered worlds were placed in the combined warrior forces of the reptilian empire as new dedicated soldiers of the queen. The TTTT. They were trained to become the most vicious and skilled warriors in the nifty realm, and were given some of the most advanced lethal weapons and death-dealing technologies. As a result of their training and the available weaponry, the warriors of the Queen's forces became the unquestioned champions in the delivery of death on behalf of their matriarch. The combined forces were known as the Queen's Death, the Mighty and Invisible TTT Car, or simply the TAC. But a distinction is necessary here, Matu. The TAC forces which remained in place in their homes worlds performed their duties as defenders and protectors of their home regions, were known as TAC. That's true. but the forces which were taken into the heart of the arms of the empire and conducted the war of expansions and conquests on behalf of the Queen and the SS realms. These combined forces were known as the SS Tak or the SS Tak, the swastika. Swastika is not from Hitler or German alone, huh? Even that psychopath serial killer called the Mason, something like that, Charles Mason, he had a swastika on his forehead. He was a terrible man, cold, blooded, and defiant. So you see, come from Buddhism, from Hinduism. Hinduism has nothing going to do with German, okay? It's come from the Central and South Asia. See, this is a brotherhood of the reptilians. Oh, how to say that thing, how bigoted is this? This one's evil, but this is not. How do you know that they control all behind their sins and they are shady, huh? How do you know that they are shady? I don't believe this. I don't trust. Symbolize the reptilian empire, Orion Empire. Kali Mata, all that with the queen. And this man don't kill the white people, he didn't kill others. Idiot. It's the real Aryans. This is the real Aryans. And not German, not white people. That's nonsense. Everything was twisted. Okay? And this moron here at this point they don't know about the swastika, about the Aryan Empire, where it originated from. They don't know. They are in the dark. And conduct the year of expansion, the swastika. This swastika. Matu was astonished again. This swastika, the combined forces of the Aryan armies of Hitler, fought under the ban of the swastika. Not only Hitler, morons. The combined force of the Aryan armies was fought under the ban of Shitaka. Oh my God! Matu nearly fell off his chair. Oh my God! Now just Hitler, moron. Pell sat back and looked at his apprentice in his state of near shock. It's time for a walk again, he thought to himself. Matu was nervous. He was also excited and afraid. He wanted to learn more, and he didn't want to listen to any more. He was honored to have been allowed to learn the secrets of the Brotherhood, and he hated knowing that he had been lied to during his life in the real world. The real world. If only people knew the truth. Perry entered the room. He took one look at Matu, and he knew that the young man had reached an important moment in his learning. Perry walked over to the young man and handed him the key to the room of memories. Matu looked at the key in his hand. It was the key that would allow him to gather the things that he had come to the school with and live. Matu never hesitated. He stood up and handed the key back to the master. Then he walked to his stack of papers and picked up the pen. He was ready again. Perry smiled. He turned and walked to the window. The people of the Arahan stars knew, though, through their scientists, that all life in the universe had been born of the great void. And a great expulsion of the breath of the void in a primordial exhale. All of the elements necessary for creating life, which come from the quarks, the atoms, etc., and all its forms were ejected into our universe. And this way, life was born. So why you talk about a reptilian queen if you pet backside? Why you say that? What I say, man, it was the quark, the atoms who created the void. And those beings are creatures just like we are. That's what I'm trying to put in the mind of these idiots. So life was born, but the scientists had also discovered that one day the great void within hell, yeah, it will exhale and inhale. Once it inhale, it can contract. The universe, if he contracts, he will implode within, implode inside, not explode. So, great expulsion of the breath of the void in a primordial exhale. All of the elements necessary for creating life in all its form were injected into the universe. In this way, would inhale that the entire universe will fall back into itself, will be sucked in again. Everything will be sucked in. Not tomorrow, not maybe 1 million from now, not yet, but maybe 1 billion of years, yes, billion, trillions. Life would return to where it had begun, because it will, the void, the hole will suck it all back. It's the great inhale. Now it's hip. Which now is Om, like the Hindu says. Okay, so when the reptilian people attempted to imitate the sound of the try to imitate, that's what they do. They imitate. They don't create originally. They imitate. They are imitators. Imitators are not the original. Always remember that. Okay, so. Imitate the sound of the breath of the void, they open their mouths wide and exhaled a long and hard breath. Because of the peculiar structure of their larynx, they emitted a hard hissing breath sound. From this odd hissing sound of the reptilian breath came the name that the SS people would use represent the void, the car. No, it's not nothing to do with reptilian, nothing to do with them. Even in the era of the kings, it was accepted that the void, the great car, which gave birth to all things, was feminine in essence. Only a female essence could give birth to the universe, emerging from the womb of the void, the life of the universe. Okay, it has a feminine aura, but doesn't mean that the queen is the original or the creator. There's no sense. Okay, no sense. So the life of the universe was born when the queen rose to the throne because of her great power. It was soon believed that the reigning queen of the empire, Aya, was the ultimate representative and embodiment of the great void itself. She was the one and only manifestation of the grand creatrix. She was the ultimate heavenly mother. She was eternal. She was omnipotent. And she was omniscient. She, Queen Aya, was the embodiment of the... How come she, man, when she was the daughter of another and another and another and another? Doesn't make any sense, Mel. Embodiment of the body. She was the one from who all things came and to whom all things... I don't believe you are talking rubbish. In the empire of the SS reptilian people, the queen was the living car itself. No. She's like the great void one's life. She's a creature just like all of us are. And then she was dead. Yeah, I also can be dead. So I can go there and I could kill somebody or kill an animal. And then I go to jail. I can do this. Who cannot do? So many idiots go around killing. Huh? We also can be a death. You hear what? What's so great about her only because she's deaf? What nonsense. And keep it on, of course, have technology. And keep it the royal tradition, history would record her name and disregarding Her Majesty, the Royal Kaka, or also Her Majesty the Royal Kak. Or most of the other words, the hard breed sound of the reptilian people once recorded the ha with a softer H sound at the beginning, instead of the guttural ka on these words. Queen Aya and her role as the manifestation of the void was known as Her Majesty. Queen stop the he ha ha who. Never stop this nonsense. Or more simply, Her Majesty Queen He. What a nonsense. Make up your mind, sir. Why make things so difficult when it should be simple and simplified? Matu knew what was next. He read it another sheet of paper. As the ultimate embodiment, divine manifestation of the great car, the queen was the ultimate TT female of the empire. Queen Aya therefore bore the title of Her Supreme Majesty, the Divine Cat, the sacred Egyptian cat. Oh, brother, the mysterious, wonderful, beautiful, magnificent creature, some called a little pussycat. Thus come the Catholic. The Catholic religion is in reference to the Queen Catholic. Come from the cat. The cat, the ultimate female manifestation of the void itself. As the first and foremost, you are representative of the great void. But in how come cat is cat? Because in Egyptian and Chinese, the word for cat would be Mao. Mao. M-A-U. Mao. So, the ultimate female manifestation of void is Mao, and Mao in Latin means evil. For malign, evil. So, ultimate female manifestation of the void itself, and as the first and foremost, you are representative of the great void. Queen Aya was known as Her Supreme Majesty, the Divine Queen Katyua. This is the goddess Hata. Matu thought to himself as he wrote the name down. As the ultimate embodiment, divine manifestation of the great Ka, and as the first and foremost, you are representative of the void. Queen Aya bore the title of Her Supreme Majesty, the Divine Queen Kaya. In time, that became simple Her Supreme Majesty, the Divine Queen Ka. What must this name be? Almost anticipation begin again. And this title of the Queen Matu, in the title Divine Ka, lies one of the secret of the ancient ones, the teachers of old who began his brotherhood Matu. The Queen of the Stars of Ara-N had the power and wealth of thousands of stars at her fingertips. She could do anything she wanted. She could go anywhere she wanted. Yeah, but we cannot. And she could have anything she wanted with such power and wealth at her disposal. Yeah, but we don't. The Queen made it her duty and her responsibility to pursue knowledge, to find wisdom. The best teachers is the one who gives more knowledge to others and turns others into another teachers and professors. The best rulers is the one who make the others the most queens and queens, who shares. and not hoard. Alright? Learn. So, she could do anything she want, blah 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 blah. So what? The queen made her duty, her responsibility to personal knowledge, to find the wisdom to collect the finest art, treasure. These ones are all pussy men here, really, and to amass the wealth of all the cultures under her control. I see. Amass all the wealth, and then all of the people all in the abysm and the sewage. Is it? And the most important of all, Matu, she made it her duty to enjoy them. So what? And about others. Stop worship Luciferians, to enjoy all of the pleasure of her realm. Her day once consumed and enjoy the delights of her. So what? Music, dance, and culinary treats. Especially she enjoy pursuing, indulging the joy of physical pleasure. I respect those who are good. If you are evil, you should not be respected. Not because you are rich, you are powerful, that you should be respected. A man should be respected and should be judged by the fruit he bear. In this case, a female, Matu set forward, and she enjoyed herself, Matu. So what? She indulged in the physical pleasure of every word in her empire, and then she killed some men. She did that so that many others would die, and she indulged in the physical pleasure of all the finest and youngest female of her. Oh my gosh, what's so great about that? To be a whore. That's why the name whore comes from them as well. Males of her empire, it had become the great pleasure of Her Majesty, the divine Queen Ka, to become one of the pleasure of the body. Ka, ha, ha, ha. Ka, ha, ha, ha. Matu mighty race. Could that have been the source of that bad word that meant a horrible woman? Yeah, and it is a horrible woman indeed. It is, because a man and a woman who respect themselves, who give themselves dignity, who would not whore around. It's not nice. And we're going to tell one thing about these beings. They like to might control others, be it a man and a woman, to become a whore themselves. Okay? And when you become a whore, be you yourself a female or a male, you're going down, 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 down. The best thing is to cut contracts with these beings for good, because those are Luciferians and they are mostly negative. Last, you think that the pursuit of the pleasure of the body by the queen was but the exercise of the base animal desires. Rest assured, Matu, that there was yet another reason for her insatiate hunger. There's not a reason but nonsense, stupidity, and greed, selfishness. You see, not many people know that when the body revels in the throes of passionate intimacy, there's an electrical energy that's produced. Almost all people focus on the purely superficial and immediate feelings of pleasure. Blah, 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 blah. And if there come what? Insufficiency renal, okay? They ceases, and you get all the bad energies of other, and in something that's attached with them goes to you, and that's what they want, and that's what these men here telling this want, because these are Luciferians, okay, and they are here to put people astray, lead others astray. And there's electrical energy that's produced. Almost all people focus on the pure superficial and immediate feelings of pleasure. Since the screw. A pressure is to go to the meadow, to run with the animals, to pluck a flower, to shower in a beautiful, idyllic, crystal clear water of a beach. Okay, to play with the fine sand of the ocean, which nature itself created, not some fake god. That's what I believe. That is pleasure. That is orgasm. Orgasm is people learning new things, and people have an aspiration for something, a passion for something. That is orgasm, and not a male and a female conjoined and boom, bang, 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 bang. That's nonsense. It's warped, warped. Okay, this is for stupid female whores, and a horse male horse and a male and a female's whore. I even don't like this, even if I'm married. Yeah. So you see, not many people know that when the body reveals and the truth by the queen, but the exercise of the base animal desire. Not many people know that when the body reveals the true passionate intimacy, there's many ways to intimacy, okay? Without do this kind of nonsense, low chakras activities. There's an electrical apprentice you can enjoy the feelings which follow the intensity of the pleasure, the so-called afterglow. Oh, afterglow. There are but a handful of human beings afterglow and after kill. After they glow, they will kill one another sooner or later. There are but a handful of human beings who understand these things are and are able to place their attention on the energy that are created. They exchange energy, to be precise. Thus the name sex. Synergy exchange. Synergy exchange. And that's not good. Because you don't go around exchange your energy to anybody. If anybody will you, unless you are stupid. If you are stupid, go around and whore around for you to see all the consequences. Viruses. Man and a woman is stuck together. Herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, I don't know what else. All this nonsense. And a man and a human get stuck up together in the act. The male create a loop inside the female vagina, and they stuck together just like a dog. You want this to happen to you, and it's happening nowadays. You want this to happen to you, so go around whoring around. Go. So the best sex is if you're mighty, if the intellect. The best orgasm is the orgasm that you get not from your low chakra but your upper chakras, from your mind, okay, intellect. So the queen runs out more than overpowering feeling of ecstasy. There are but a handful human beings who understand these things and are able to place their attention on the energy that they created. No, you go yourself and create Satanas. In the pursuit of pleasure, the queen of the other hand sought more than the overpowering feeling of ecstasy. There is many ways to find this ecstasy, sir. She sought to create the electrical energy that allowed her to expand her sense and further her link to the great void. Matu was totally astounded and quiet. Good Lord, he thought, sex creates energy, electrical energy? No, it's a kind of energy that you transport to other people. Sometimes it can be good or evil. Be careful. Because when you have sex with people you don't know, or even people you know that you have, the relationship is already on the rocks, and you are not, it's a toxic relationship filled with gaslighting, and you keep on exchanging energy with these people, you are carrying all their luggage with you in your back. All their baggage runs to you. And the circle, a vicious circle of quarrel, violence, domestic violence will never end. As long as you continue having sex with these people. Do you understand? And that's what these Luciferians want. Precisely that. If every man and every Nepho woman were to try to get preoccupied or occupy themselves with something other than low chakras feelings, you would see that you're gonna profit much more than you do with low chakra stuffs. Tell many old women out there, you cool down your frog, okay, lady, cool down your frog. This is lack of intelligence and intellect. Good Lord, sex creates energy, electrical energy. Good Lord, be clear on this explanation, Matu. Beside, this is not a justification for promiscuous behavior. Exactly, it's not. Unbridled sex does not focus on the potential energies which are produced and could be utilized. So why your queen do that? Why she do? She show bad example. My words to you about an explanation that there are great mysteries and the most basic and simple of human behaviors, but it has been abused. It has been abused because humans do sex like animals by instinct, just like an animal, a cat, a dog do and hit, but they don't know the implication in all this, the dynamics. They fail to know it, and they harness the best of it. Unfortunately, humankind is not taught how to recognize the energy. No, it is taught how to harness. You see? To harness the natural electrical forces that can come from the expression of the passion of the soul. And in order to reach this parameter in a sexual relationship, you need to give yourself soul mind, and you need to be in connection with that person, in sync. That person should not be a cheater. That person should not be an idiot who just want to use your body for silly pleasure and for promiscuous reasons. Okay, they need to respect each other also in order to achieve all this and gather of all this. Matu said stunned at what Per had just explained. Somewhere in the act of intimacy means intimacy. Into me, you see. That means you go to the, and both have to be in synchronicity. Because if only one is the giver and the other is just the receiver or the one who's been abused, there's no synchronicity and no intimacy. You are just intruding in one place that you are not welcomed. Do you follow? And let's go about this. We are talking about rape, forced sex. Shame on you. So, intimacy, that was an electrical energy that could be harnessed. No judgment of good or bad. Only the proper and improper use of electrical energy. Incredible. Serving at the pleasure of the queen were carefully selected reptilian males who had but one duty to perform: to pleasure the queen in any way she chose. artists, dancers, musicians, and experts in physical pleasures. Tantra, only the finest specimens of SS masculinity were permitted to be with the queen. If any should fail or falter, they were immediately terminated and cast aside, forced to live on a faraway world for the indesirables. Is it all this necessary only for sex? This is ego, and then you dare to come here and talk about human ego? Go look at yourself in the webcam, dudes. But if they were obedient and faithful servants, if they were exemplary in their service to the queen, condition and still tell a human to be unconditional, eh? Now, I tell you, is it not ironic and hypocritical what? They were treated as the supreme males of the empire, beholden to Her Majesty, the Divine Queen Ka. The males who were always at her side were known as the Karim. Karim, Matu nearly jumped. Again! Harim, haram. Harim, haram. Harim, haram. Haram in Arabic means something that's unlawful. It's not legal. Or could it also come a context of being a sin? Haram or harem. Harem is this whoredom of Arabic's whore, male whore, who have money and go around prostituting. So I stable for pleasures mates, but not females. Males. Holy cow! My God! Yuck! I think this queen had a very small throat to be so hit like that. I think her throat is the size of a pea. The whole structure. That's like a chicken, not even a chicken croc, might be bigger than her. I think like a cat size. What if the world really knew? I wonder what they would say if they really knew that the harem meant a stable of males. To servants, one of the royal young males were chosen for their physical beauty and their ability to pleasure the queen. Beauty. 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 My gosh. Blind are those who doesn't want to see, hey? I wonder if this creature who are promiscuous like this ever get sexual disease. What they call? I don't know the acronym for this. Sexual diseases, or they sterilize them just like we got here for promiscuous, and whether they do practice any form of abortion or they sterilize themselves. How is the procedure when they don't want to lay eggs and give birth to their young? In time, the queen asked her mark scientists to develop a breeding program. So the young males were chosen for their physical beauty. Oh my God, and the ability to pleasure the queen. Let's see the beautiful beauty, the beauty. Oh gosh. No, I rather not exist than to know that we are among these and be submissive to these beings and at them they are messy. Really, and this is beauty. I think beauty in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty like this. Blind are those who does not want to see her. This is beauty. This is a beauty. Not this. Oh, so ugly. This one is a female. My gosh. No wonder they come here to look for female humans. They find more cute. And I see, oh, they don't exist. No reptilian exists. What's this? What's this? And sometimes they can come as amphibious. They are real. They are very strong. In time, the queen asked her Mac scientists to develop a breeding program that would provide the queen with better and a more beautiful harem. Harem. I don't know. Harem. And each and every generation, as the breeding program progressed, the males did in fact become more and more handsome. And another train aspect of the program, I think they get some DNA from humans to become more and more handsome. They become more and more adept in the art of passion. And remember, Matu, the most successful males provided the seed which was used to bring forth the princesses of the empire. This all served to produce reptilian princesses who were the most beautiful human in the empire. I imagine the beauty. Under the harem, some physical attributes which the queen had found undesirable were bred out of the harem males. Since youth couldn't see when something the queen found to be a desirable characteristic, harem males were bred to have short lifespans. This assured the queen that all of her lovers would always be young and healthy. Remind me of one movie that was shown in the 80s or the 90s, if I don't make a mistake, with Rossellini, Isabella Rossellini, and she was a beauty queen, literally speaking, and she made a elixir of youth to become forever youth and seductive. And then she had around her a lot of this muscular, hunk, a lot of young, virile, look like more gays. To me, it was a gays, all gays, hunks, very useful, like 22, 21-year-old, out of fangs. And this woman, she was a queen, and she punished them if they did not perform well. This is not a porn, it was just a movie aired at national TV. She would whip them up if they did not perform well sexually wise, or just liquidate them at once. The males were long-haired, very muscular and youthful. And usually she will prefer the dark-haired ones. So, have found this was the queen that all her lovers would always be young and healthy. Exactly this movie that I saw, I forgot the name. I was very young at that time, so I forgot. And even the males who were long-lasting and the ability to produce pleasure was desirable, the queen insisted that males in the harem program be bred so that they would only have 1 or 2 peaks of sexual pleasure. Since the queen was capable of numerous peaks just like a cat of pleasure, restricting the males to only one or two peaks ensured that the queen would have to have multiple partners during any of her times of pleasure. In this fashion, boredom would never set in for the queen. Matu could hardly believe what he was hearing. Males and the stars of Orion were being bred to pleasure the queen? What a concept! But the queen was also wise, Matu, Peck continued. Peck always whitewash. To keep the female and her service happy, she also extended the rewards of the harem program to most loyal and faithful helpers. Eventually, all of the males in the empire become subject to the breeding program. Were there any gays, by the way? Any reptilian gays? In time, all reptilian males of the empire passed away at a much younger age than the females. It reminds me of the Plymouth males. They always have a shorter lifespan than the females, and they are often eaten by them, and the same goes for the spider females who eat the male up. Wow, what a concept. All synchronized together. It raise a red flag. Reptilian female would also be able to enjoy their own youthful partners, and because all males were only capable of one or two peaks, they could also enjoy multiple partners if they so desired. Youthful partners also assured the females that they need not be concerned with male egos that needed to go on and on about their great experiences. Good. Very good. Only a reptilian female to teach the egocentric males. Very nice. And the extension of the harem program to the rest of the home worlds had other advantages. Keeping all reptilian males young prevented them from achieving wisdom and maturity. Oh my God, and it's just this is kind of noobs to mate with you just for pleasure. It makes you what? Also mature females. What kind of mature females will choose a man that have no intellect, open the mouth, come out nothing, and a sex one matter of mind also. We cannot have feelings, sexual feeling for a mate that you don't like. He is stupid. For what? And if a woman gets this kind of man because she's stupid, regardless of her biological age, chronological age, biological and chronological age. Keeping all reptilian males young prevented them from achieving wisdom and maturity, something that could potentially cause a problem for the empire. I don't think so. Young and immature males do not challenge the basic precepts. Oh, clever queen, huh? So that they won't try to overthrow her from her throne. And a long life was necessary for reptilian males anyway. Oh my God, poor cat. No wonder they come here and look for mates. They are purposeless ones after all, but to serve the queen and provide some pleasure for her loyal followers. Eventually, the harem program became a foundation stone in the ways of the SS Empire, Matu. Definition. These are but a few of the reasons why it was adopted. Matu was silent. The revelations of the elder never ceased to amaze him. There was so much to ask. As he looked up from his paper, he noticed that the master was silent, as if in deep thought. Matu thought it best to wait for a moment. When he was ready to begin again, Matu wondered what he would speak of next. In moments, Pei spoke again. I wish only to mention this in passing, Matu. In time you'll understand why we must mention the architecture of SS Empire. In the primeval time of the Green World, the home world of the reptilian SS people, the original reptilian dragonfly bee ancestors of the SS built nests of mud. Oh my lord, just like the wisp. The wisp too, she built a mud nest. Oftentimes the nests reach up into the sky, and I always love the tiny wasp, the black tiny wasp. I'm crazy for them, and I'm very amazed at how they make that, use their saliva to create their own mud nest. Towering over the ground around it, cells inside the nests were generally hexagonal, but were always built around a central chamber that reached up through the core of the nest. Very beautiful and well engineered. I have some here at home. I let them build the house. I didn't destroy it until the green larvae start to fall off the floor. When they make a hole there in the muddy hut, the larvae will fall, all green color. And then they start to, swirl, skirming on the floor. The central room was the largest chamber in the nest and had a circular floor plan with walls that loomed higher up into the ceiling. Nests of several colonies often result in tremendous mud structures with spires sticking straight up into the sky. When the reptilian humanoids evolved, they generally built their shelters with a rounded floor plan and a covering that made the hut resemble a dome. In later stages of the evolutions, the buildings of significance from the court of the empire to the meeting halls and other central building favored tall towering spires with large circular central chambers or dome-like buildings with round floor plans. In the era of the queen's official structure dedicated to the queen and her role as the car always had multiple spires and a round chamber at its core. The description sounded like a modern skyline to Matu. In the early dynasties of the reptilian queens, while the queen was still responsible for ruling the empire and giving birth to the royal offspring, the SSS scientists working with the Mach development programs had uncovered a special nutrient for the queen, one that assisted her in several ways, drawing on the well-known fact that special proteins in the blood of warm-blooded creatures Here, the former reptilian world that I find them very engineering. Yeah, they did this one. They come to my home, they make like this, but they only make two chamber. They make several design and they were green color. There one's also here on the window like this one. They make one only. I allowed because I don't know. I like. It's beautiful to me. I find it very amazing, really amazing. Some people they squirmish, and that I don't care. What's this? Termite, this one. That's where the reptilian come from, tally the dragonflies. Huh? So let's go for the vampire queen. So they uncovered a special nutrient for the queen, one that assists her in several ways, drawing on the well-known fact that special protein in the blood forming blood critically so the youngest one, and if adrenaline assisted in producing the venom necessary for conception and childbirth. Venom. SSS scientists began to develop extracts based on warm blood nutrients. This very special nutrient was known as ESMA. The liquid acts as an enhancer of the queen's metabolism. It increased her energy levels, gave her more stamina, and actually added to her physical strength. Matu repeated the name ESMA, ESMA. Holy cow! Could actually be Soma. It sounds like it might be, and Soma was known as the food of the gods. Pez saw the look on Matu's face, but did not stop. Here's another important fact which you must know, Matu. In the language of the Orion people, the S sound as the prefix was a causative and literally meant it causes, it makes happen, or it makes go. Since in the case the S precedes the term Ma, the title of the queen as the royal mother, Esma literally means makes go, the royal mother. As the Esma liquid was further refined and developed, other discoveries about its extraordinary properties were made. Continued use of the Esma liquid, for example, increased the lifespan of the queen. Through the careful refining of various strains of Esma, it was discovered that the queen life could be extended well into hundreds of thousands of years. It just became evident that Esma, at the cost of another beings that the atoms created, keep the queen's bodily functions youthful. It was the queen's fountains of youth and the cup of internal energy. To prevent the possibility of other females, including her daughters, there's still rivalry, hey? From rise up from the ranks of nobles of the empire to become challengers to the throne and to usurp her role as the ultimate female of the realm, the queen immediately banned the Esma liquid and any derivatives from the common market. Use of the liquid was restricted solely to the queen lower grade derivatives. For less powerful were granted to the queen mother. Less powerful, what a narcissistic page, were granted to the queen mother and the 7 princess daughters. Anyone other than a royal family member found possessing or used the drug were to be executed just because of vanity and ego. And then after that they talk about humans. That's an absurd. On sight, Esma, look like the sound is Esma, was the nutrient for the divine ones only. Divine one like this, what for? I want to be, how to say, I don't want to be sacred like this. I don't want to be divine. I want to be the sacrilege. Under the ESMA program, the Queen further instructed her scientists to proceed with any research and development that might uncover a way in which to extend the life of the Queen and her family. In the later phases of the ESMA program, SES scientists developed and refined the reanimation sciences, a program that allowed the restoration of life to anyone who had died. Yeah, exactly. They do that to Anunnakis. They do that to Anunnakis, reptilian Draco. Do that. They can reanimated, resuscitated the dead. the dead. After years of intensive research, death became little more than a disease that could be cured. By creating a special chamber, SCS scientists found that they could reanimate the bodies, but another souls come in, or another spirit, that is, if they have any, of people who had recently died. The bodies, of course, could not be in a state of decay, nor could they have suffered irreparable trauma. Oh my gosh! Assuming that there was insignificant damage, significantly important workers in the field could be reanimated if they were killed by an accident or even murdered deliberately. Can you imagine Matu perceived with another of his devilish smiles? What would the people of the world think, particularly if they were primitively, if they saw a being of long flowing robes descend from a bright silvery object in the skies? And what if this being was able to pick up a fallen comrade who had just died and then bring him back to life? I knew it already. What do you think, Matu? What would the average primitive being think? He would think he has seen an angel. Matu had to say, exactly. He would think that he had seen an angel with the divine power to bring a dead person back to life. No one other Jisue knew how to do that. Yes, Padre. And he would see the reanimation as a sign that he saved a person was special or blessed. He would not see an administrator saving a worker which provides a profit margin. He would see a blessing instead. Damn, thought Matu, business, not benevolence. Of course, they would save a very devoted worker. He brings in a profit. Damn. For the Queen Matu, Beck continued, the reanimation significantly increased her lifespan, a trait worth of the ultimate divine one. Should she suffer an accident or even a deliberate plot on her life, she could be reanimated. Matu saw a flaw in the plan. But it would be necessary to trust the individual at the controls. Would it not, Master? Yes, even if there were several people necessary for the reanimation process, would you still not be necessary to trust all those involved? You forgot something, Matu. You forget that the Mark sciences have given the Queen to program any of the people in her service. By reprogramming the worker at the controls and anyone involved in the process, because they are android, they are practically android. The Queen could assure that they would obey her every command. Yeah, because they are android. Certainly, it would demand that the Queen know every detail of the process, and that she would be the only one to hold the final codes. But let us not forget the ruthlessness and efficiency of the Queens of Orion. It would not take a great stretch of the imagination to understand that the Queen would take every possible precaution to ensure her safety in reanimation chamber. I can assure you, Matu, she is very true. She would have to be, he thought to himself. But in time, the success of the reanimation program brought an unexpected new complication to the fore. Scientists discovered that even if the advantages of the SMA liquid nutrient, the continued reanimation of the Queen took its toll on her body. To solve the problem of wear and tear, the SMA program scientists researched and developed the science of regeneration in an effort to produce body replacement and to regenerate the cells, part of the Queen. By taking cellular material from the Queen herself, the SMA scientists were able to regenerate the entire body of the Queen, thus providing parts of her anatomy which could be used to replace giant or completely destroyed part of her body. Oh my gosh! And time, and now they have this technology here already. In time, several regenerated bodies of the queen were kept intact and vital for any emergency that might require transplantation or replacement. With the success of this aspect of the development program, the queen was once again given the power to extend her lifetime to even greater and almost unbelievable lengths. Pause for a moment. Make this notice in your paper, Matu. It's like the youth, if you recall, the name of the queen was always Aya, or sometime Aura. And her position as the sole embodiment of the void, and the queen of the empire, and the supreme female. All of this titles point to the importance of her physical existence. Her body, Matu, would therefore be the single most important body of the empire. It would be known as the supreme body, the body of the highest. Can you tell me what the title of her body might be? Matu, on scout of God, returned his note and found the highest, and any body would be contained by the four highest. In body of by, in by Master Matu guessed. That's correct. In by is correct. The body of the highest of Her Majesty Queen Oyao, the body of the highest of Her Majesty Queen Aura Matu. What would that be? Bad of the highest and B of Queen Aya. To be I and Ba or R and B. Matu wrote it down. Correct again, Matu. R and B would be the official title of the body of the Queen of the Throne. And this title is once given to the regeneration program, it was officially known as the R&B program. It is come of no surprise to you, Matu, that the ancient Egyptian word for rejuvenation was rempi. Matu wrote the words down. When he finished, he looked at his master. Good God, he thought to himself, I know that these things are true. The evidence continues to pile up, but who recorded all these things he wanted? Who assessed this knowledge onto human beings he wanted? Before Matu could ask the question, Bear began again. In one of the final phrases of the ethnic program, the elite mark scientists who were not known as the Genesis, were now known as Genesis scientists because of their ability to create and manipulate life, were instructed to attempt to isolate and capture the consciousness of a being. Oh my God, it was hoped that the consciousness could be captured. Somehow it could be transplanted to another body. Remember, Matu? That's working. These were the very scientists who had been the developers of the meta-ethereal sciences used so successfully in the population control programs. Though the test was monumental and seemed to offer little chance of success, over millions of years and countless failures, the Mac Genesis scientists were successful. Genesis, huh? Through tireless effort and sheer genius, a process was developed that allowed complete consciousness to be transplanted from one body to another. One of the difficulties encountered, however, was that the initial consciousness of the receiving body could not be completely eliminated without terminating the life of the body. As a result of the consciousness transfer, the new body was fully aware of two distinctly different personality entities. Oh gosh! Just the bipolarity, schizophrenia, psychopathy, what else? Walk-ins, personality disorder in general. My gosh! To combat the potential confusion problems, the Genesis scientists were forced to add a secondary procedure to the transfer process. It was already known through the mind control programs that thoughts and memories could be easily implanted into the brain of the target being. And it was also known that some memories could be eliminated in the target by merely enhancing the procedures, by intensifying the mind erasure and implantation techniques. The mind of the receiving body and a consciousness transfer could be made totally receptive to a new consciousness. After the procedure, the receiving body would believe that the new consciousness had always been the original consciousness of the body. Oh! And what about the original consciousness? It would be relegated to the body's subconscious, where it would occasionally surface as a very vivid dream or an inexplicable vision. Wow! Matu marveled. A whole new consciousness, another body, amazing! With the success of the MAC consciousness transfer program. This is what they call reincarnation. The Queen of the Stars of Orion had the power to transfer her entire consciousness into one of the regenerated R&B bodies. Should the worst conceivable circumstances occur, should the body of the Queen be severely damaged, her consciousness could be completely transferred, combined with the successes in the regeneration and reanimation programs. The Queen was able to extend her lifespan beyond any lengths that had ever been imagined. When her subjects in the population of the other worlds claimed that the Queen of the Empire was possessed of everlasting life, they were visually correct. Because of the Genesis science advices, she had come close to achieving immortality. While generations of her subjects lived and passed away, the Queen outlived them all. Of course, who wouldn't? Through technology and by restricting the most elaborate processes of extended life sciences to herself. That's cheating life. It's just cheating. The reptilian queen ensured that she would live for millions of years and could remain the wisest, the most intelligent, and the most experienced being in her entire empire. Amazing! But is intelligence like that, wise like that? She's regressing because she's always renew herself and become more noob. She becomes not evolving, she's regressing. Amazing, Matu said to himself, just amazing. Then suddenly he had a thought. But how could she trust the people who perform the transfer procedure of the cloning processes, Master? Well, consider the parents, any and every technician, scientist, or individual who might be connected to extended life programs were subjected to the mind alteration program will become androids. Any and all thoughts which could be dangerous or threatening to the Queen were completely eliminated because she's kind of paranoid. She will not give chance for nothing and not going to, vacillate and just be unaware. Thoughts of total and complete loyalty and obedience were implanted. Though this safety precaution, the Queen could assure herself that the scientists and people in charge of any of the operations or procedures of the extended life programs would do exactly as she wanted. Believe me, the Queen made sure that she would not be betrayed at any level, and in order to do this, she made full use of the MAC programs. Wherever and whoever it was necessary to control, and behind they had the MAC engineers, the Greys, the Chetty lizards. Those are her scientists, and you would be surprised at some of the people who were included in the mock programs. My God! Matu ensure he wouldn't be. To preserve the lives of high-level workers and administrators who were invaluable to the ongoing systems of the empire, the Queen commanded the use of simplified versions of cloning and reanimation to be used on key personnel. That's corruption. Vital commanders, administrators, and assistants were included in the cloning and reanimation programs, and if their experiences and knowledge were important to the administration of the empire, the consciousness transfer system ensured that their consciousness would not be lost to the empire, and particularly to the Queen, to assist in keeping the SFTIM strong. Much weaker versions of the asthma liquids were granted to the various important members of the empire, with somewhat stronger fluids reserved for the sole use of the royal family. But the supreme SM8 was strictly reserved for the Queen herself, and as a final measure of security for herself, Matu, the Queen subjected the Queen Mother and her daughters to the mock mind control program. In this way, the Queen felt that no one, oh no, she's crazy. She's really crazy, paranoid, schizophrenic. And some idiots still worship that. Not even her family could ever have a single thought of rebellion or challenge to her rule. And she's not even the one, because before her there's had antecedents, her ancestral. She's just a dissident. She's nothing, no big shit here compared to the others. As he finished the pair, sat back again. Matu could only stare him. What extraordinary, ruthless ruler the Queen of Orion was. Chat in a strange way was. I hope that she really was, and she's in hell now. I really hope. Chat in a strange way, Matu could understand that precautions. Were he in the same place, he would probably do the same. Not me, not me. He thought to himself, but still a queen of an empire of thousands of stars, a civilization of reptilian descended beings and the star of Orion, mind control, reanimation, clone, and the transfer of consciousness. See, what would the rest of the world say if they really know that these things existed, that we are not alone in the galaxy? Well, they will say, some will say that is, I mean, at least those fanatics one, religion fanatics, will say that is all a lie, all a fantasia, all a dream, etc. And others will say that maybe it's true, maybe not, there's a possibility.